Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chief Orr, and I'm going to be briefing you on the benefits portion. So feel free to stop and ask me questions if you have any, or not. Preferably not. Okay, this is your technician civilian entitlements. So this is basically what I'm going to cover today. It's the leave, your annual compensation, sick, military leave, your FEHB, FEGLI, FEDVIP, TSP, FSA. I'm going to go a bit into your retirement, your military service deposit, USERA, and the DoD Performance Management and Appraisal Program, which replaced the performance appraisal application that you're familiar with. Okay, so before I go on to my next slide, I just wanted to apologize because the end goal was for me, or our benefits section, to meet with each individual sitting in the realigned position to explain your benefits. I did get a bunch of you together, but we were starting to ramp up for this town hall. So for the most part, my OG family, my apologies. I got 17 of you I got to meet with, and for the maintenance group, I've got about 7 or 8 of you because you guys were TY, but since you're not here, I guess I don't have to apologize to you. But we are rescheduling Colonel Scribner, so I'm just letting you know, okay? All right, moving on. Okay, so annual leave, this is your entitlements. Annual leave may be used throughout your AGR orders. It can be retained until the USERA restoration period expires, at which date you will be notified, right, before your USERA time expires. If you apply and are selected for the position, then you can determine at that point if you want to stay on and become a career AGR, then you can either have your lump sum paid off, okay? But depending when I sat with those of you, and I mentioned to you what your retirement eligibility was, if you're deferred, then you can keep it in till later, until you actually retire on your MRA. But I'll get to that on the following slides. Again, you can be paid out lump sum effective placement of absent US. So for those of you that are in absent US, I am gonna recommend, because it's a smart thing to do, okay? So if you apply, you're selected for the AGR program, and you get in and you cleared and you're now sitting in the program, I highly recommend you exercise your USERA rights, and if you do at that point, then you go ahead and you can keep your annual leave in, because for whatever reason, if you return and we find you a like position, you still have that annual leave. If not, you're going to have 0, because that AGR leave that you had earned does not convert to technician leave. Does that make sense? 2 separate pots of money. Okay, thank you. All right, as you all know, comp time expires 26 pay periods from the date it is earned. So any time off awards and comp time earned should be used prior to AGR realignment. Same as if you go on absent US and contingencies, the same thing. Because if you go on a contingency, you may get forward deployed, right? So the AGR is a little longer, so that's why we recommend that you use it, because it's going to expire and you don't get it back. Okay? It's like giving me $1 and I'm not going to return nothing back to you. Okay. Military leave. Your military leave will continue to accrue until the max hours of 240, once it's reached, and or your USERA restoration period expires, okay? However, military leave is not authorized while on AGR orders per NDAA 17. They came out with that, I do believe, December 24th, okay? Actually, that is true, but it applies like if you're a counter drug or one of those different AGR or Title 10 tours, you may be applicable, but in your guys' case, it's not. Sick leave. Sick leave will remain to your credit and can be used if reemployed in a civil service position. Unused sick leave, okay, does count towards an eligible technician retirement. So if you are already eligible for a technician retirement, then your sick leave will be credited to that time. It's not to get credited to get you towards a technician retirement. Does that make sense? Okay. Good. I like you guys are shaking your head. Awesome. Okay. And then you'll be able to use, consistent with the rules, your sick leave. Okay? Moving on. All right. This is your FEHB. So if any of you have filled out the absent US checklist, you may be able to continue up your federal employment health benefits for 24 months. Okay? The first 12 months, the employee will pay their portion and the agency will pay their portion. Okay? The agency is us. However, my recommendation is, because you're going to be in USERRA, right? Absent US, USERRA, you're not earning, and you guys know this because I know you guys nodding your head, okay? You're not earning any funds in your civilian pay, right? So you're going to incur what? A debt. Yes, I know we deal with you guys with this, okay? So if you want to, you can go ahead and pay directly to your provider, your FHB, either Kaiser or HMSA or whatever premium plan that you're. Okay? The next 13 to 24 months, you as an employee will be responsible to pay your portion and the agency share as well, which is 100% plus 2% administrative costs. And that 2% administrative cost does not come to us in HRO. It actually is your debt to the agency, your FEHB company. After 24 months, your FEHB is terminated. Okay? So, there was a question, and I gotta address this. This is so funny. So, I've been seeing my doctor for years, right? Because your family's used to seeing your same physician. And I get onto AGR and I become career. Can I still see that same physician? You as the military member will use the MTF facilities, and the reason for that is if you did, and which I'm not saying you couldn't, but if you did use that other healthcare insurance, you may not be covered should you become career under the AGR program when you file for retirement, and then you go through, what's those people called? Veterans Affairs, right? Because they will not cover you for that, especially if it was done on an outside physician, unless it's done at Tripler or the 15th Medical Group, which is why we highly advise that you go to see them for your medical care. If not, and you still want to see you as an individual want to see your provider, you can, but you're just gonna have to pay more. Okay, so if you were paying $89 or what have you copay, you're probably gonna pay $1,700. But that's all, because you get to see them, right? Because you've been with them forever. Now, I'm not saying your family cannot still see that provider. If you sign them up for TRICARE Prime and they accept that TRICARE Prime, then absolutely, you can have your family members sign up. It's just they will have to pay, you probably may have to pay a copay. All right, so just giving you guys some info. All right, so then you can elect to continue or terminate your coverage effective placement into absent US, and that's on the checklist that you guys complete. The latest one we have is October 2017. Okay, and then you still have the same open season opportunities and QLE to make changes during the current election, and that is because you guys are still exercising your USERRA rights, right? Okay. And then, finally, you must make your decision within 60 days of starting your military orders. So this is really important. This is why, tag brief, not the tag, because then it'll be the adjutant general, which is not. But this is why tag briefed during his portion is to make sure We give you this information so you can sit and speak with your family members or your significant others. Politically correct. Okay. Okay, your FEGLI, same thing. Your FEGLI continues up to 12 months in a non-pay status. Your FEGLI will terminate at the end of 12-month period with a 31-day extension, okay, of coverage and the right to convert to an individual policy. So you have an opportunity to continue your FEGLI for an additional 12 months, but you will be responsible for 100% of the payment, okay? And then you may make changes during the QLE. There's no open season, okay? I do believe FEGLI had one, they opened something back in 2002, and then again back in 2016. So this is not like FEHB, which is open season every year, right? Mid-November to mid-December. FEGLI is different. It's whenever they open, which is, I don't know, when they need money into the retirement or the insurance fund. Okay, and it's restored upon return to duty. Okay, because I just want to track this. Chief Masaki, so when they're in absent US, are they still going to have access to MyBiz? Okay, so you can check your MyBiz. Okay, when we terminate it or what have you, or whatever changes, you can still check in MyBiz. Okay, thank you. All right. FedBIP, you may elect to continue FedBIP and coordinate payments directly with them. So FedBIP bills you after 2 consecutive missed payments from LES deductions. So make sure you guys, if you want to continue it, you make manual payments to it. Okay, TSP, your thrift savings plan. TSP will remain active while under USERRA or absent US status. No contributions while in a non-pay status. Same thing like when you go on a contingency, right? Absent US, same thing, okay? Because you're exercising your USERRA rights. Any TSP loan payments may be, depending on what you elect. Are you taking my picture? Okay. Depending on what you may, your TSP loan, you can either temporarily suspend it, right? Your TSP loan, you can temporarily suspend it because you're not making any money on the civilian side to pay directly to TSP, okay? Or you can continue to pay it directly to TSP as long as you coordinate with them. Okay, the key thing I want to make, and when I finish this slides, if you have any questions, you can ask me, but I'll ask questions at the end anyway. And then you still get the 1% automatic payment upon return to duty if you decide not to, if you decide to apply and is selected for the AGR position and you're cleared to be on board and then you decide to return back to duty, the 1% automatic payment will apply, okay? And then you also have the ability to make up missed contributions and agency matching. We just need to, you individuals will need to be in a paid status and then we'll need a copy of that military LESs. So keep that, okay? Keep that in mind. All right, and your active TSP loans must be paid in full prior to separation from the federal civil service, which means you apply, you're selected, you get into the AGR program, okay? Once you're in the AGR program, you decide, because we're going to send you a notice, your USERRA time is about to expire. What would you like to do? If you elect to become career and want to stay in the AGR program, then obviously we're going to separate you. But during that time, your TSP loan that you initiated is not being paid, correct? So now we're going to separate you. You have to pay that loan in full. If you do not, then it's going to be considered a distribution. And when you get the distribution, you're going to get penalized from the government, right? I think it's like 10% or 20% they charge you for a loan that you made that you didn't give me a gift with, but just kidding. Okay. And, we've had this question, right, many times. Can I roll my civilian TSP into my military, vice versa? The only time you can do that is you may combine your accounts when you separate from either the federal civilian employment or the uniform service. Make sense? Good. Okay, flexible spending account. For those who have the FSA, you need to contact the vendor directly at www.vested.com. Okay? Okay, retirements, you guys ready? Okay, you may possibly qualify for an optional MRA plus 10, minimum retirement age, plus 10 years of federal civilian service, okay, or a deferred retirement. The deferred retirement is when you meet one or two of the options. So you either have the MRA, but you don't have the years, or you do have the years, but you don't have the MRA, minimum retirement age, okay? So our benefits section will meet with all personnel. Well, I'm gonna finish up meeting with the affected 89 personnel, the remaining balance, okay? But anybody else after that, if you apply for the JVA, you see, I gotta reiterate this, okay? You apply for the JVA, you're selected for the position, we're gonna clear your record, you're gonna become priority before we place you on, because we don't want you having any civilian pay issues once you're in absent U.S. status, because you guys know how long it takes to get fixed, so you become my priority, okay? And then the USERRA restoration rights that we talked about is a period of 5 years. So when I met with a few of you, well, I met with majority of you, I gave you guys remaining time limits that you had for your USERRA left, because many of you were on contingencies, but most of you were on either long-term MPA tours or ACA, AGR tours. Those apply towards your USERRA. Okay. So whatever remaining balance I gave you, that's when we're going to notify you if you apply and then you are selected and you are cleared to be placed in the AGR program. That is when we will send you your notice, and you have to make it at that time. So just because the AGR time, the JVA goes out for 6 years, your USERRA may not coincide with 5 years or 6 years, okay? Okay, when can I retire? Here's the options for your retirement. So under optional retirement, because this is a realignment, I'm going to photobomb with you guys, just because. Okay, so your optional retirement is MRA with 30 years of service, minimum retirement age with 30 years of service, or age 60 with 20 years of service, or age 62 with 5 years of service, okay? MRA plus 10, that's your minimum retirement age, and if you don't know what your minimum retirement age is, to your far right is your minimum retirement age based on your birth year, okay? So I know most of you in here are 1970 and after. I gave you guys all kudos on that. I was born in 94, so I'm not sure what mine is yet. But, so your MRA plus 10, okay, that's your minimum retirement age, plus 10 years of credible federal civil service time, you can postpone your retirement benefits. And what is it? Why is that good? Is because if you postpone it, your FEHB and your FEGLI, you can ask them to be reinstated when you're ready to file for retirement, okay? But the red note is you need to ensure you had 5 years of continuous service into the FEHB and FEGLI, okay? Ooh, I like that. You guys are nodding. Yeah. Okay. So for most of you, I do believe was deferred retirement. So age 62 with 5 years of service, you get that. FEHB, that's the key, okay? Once you get a deferred, FEHB and FEGLI is not reinstated. All right, just so that you guys are aware. MRA with 10 years of service, there's a 5% reduction. So the government gives you age 62, right, to retirement. If you meet your MRA and you go for the deferred, right, so say you guys ready? I'm gonna do this again, okay? You apply for the AGR position, right? You're selected, you're cleared to be on board, you're an AGR. You decide to become career status, correct? So you opted to defer your retirement. If you wanted to collect your retirement at your MRA, okay, less than 62, you can. However, you will be penalized 5% every year under the age 62. Cool beans? That's good stuff to know, you know. Okay. And then obviously if you're eligible for a disability, you need 18 months of first service. But if you're eligible for the disability, I don't know if you're going to be medically cleared to get on the AGR program. So, catch 22, huh? Okay, I'm going to move on now. Okay, your military service deposit, this is what everybody is familiar with, the military buyback, right? It's to credit back your time. So a military deposit must be made to receive civilian retirement credit for any period of military service. Ongoing military deposits can be paid while in absent U.S. What that means is if you have a claim in already to get your military service deposit going, and then they're processing it, and then they send you a letter saying this is the amount you have to owe, and DFAS will either say you can pay in full or do this payment plan, what have you. You can still do that when you are in absent U.S. because you still are considered in a technician position, okay? No military credit for, and during that time, if you are exercising your USERRA and you do pay it back, please ensure we get a copy so we can get that loaded to your EOPF and we can recalculate your service, your SCD, service computation date, okay? Okay, then there's no military credit for civilian service if eligible for an active duty retirement. Active duty retirement is 20 years with 7,300 points, active duty points, okay? You may request a refund of military deposits directly with OPM with the retirement application. You may also request a refund of all first military deposit contributions if you are not eligible for retirement. You guys tracking that, right? So if you're not eligible for a federal civil service retirement and you did your military service deposit, right? You paid into it because you were going to count that time towards your technician retirement, and you are not now going to decide you're going to be AGR. You're not eligible for anything else, possibly maybe a little bit deferred, then you can ask them to buy that back so that you can credit it back to your AGR time. Okay? That gives you time. Make sense? Okay. All right. As of 26 November, I didn't even want to. Yeah, okay. As of 26 November, all USERRA military deposits will be handled through us, the Employee Benefits section of HRO. So you will no longer go through ABCC and complete the form. So I have a process for that that will be forthcoming. Okay, so that will give you guys that information. Don't be smiling at me. If you have pending service deposits still currently with them, they're going to grandfather those in. So they're going to continue to process those. Okay? Okay, and then you may make a military service deposit against your AGR tour towards the federal civil service retirement while you are on your USERRA rights. So if you exercise your USERRA rights, okay, so you apply, you get selected, you're placed in the AGR program, you exercise your USERRA rights, right? And then you decide, we come out and say, hey, your USERRA rights is going to expire. What do you want to do? You want to return back. We place you back into the technician position, right? We find you a like if one is not there, but I'll let staffing speak that piece. But once you do return, you can buy back this AGR time that you were on. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, cool beans. All right, so this is your restoration rights under USERRA. USERRA protects for 5 cumulative years of military service. The exceptions to the 5-year rule include contingency operations, which I mentioned earlier, mandatory military leadership, professional education, or any orders which state that they are exempt from the 5-year rules. Okay? No restoration rights, which means we do not owe you a right back to a technician position after 5 years and 90 days. Okay? Circumstances of a change make such reemployment impossible or unreasonable. Employment would impose an undue hardship to the employer, or the employment from which the person leaves is for a brief non-recurrent period and there is no reasonable expectation that such employment will continue indefinitely or for a significant period. Okay, I gotta hit this again. Remember, you apply, you're selected, you're cleared, you get into the AGR program. Make sure your appraisals are completed, because when you exercise your USERRA rights, you still have to get an appraisal completed in the system, and it's an automatic 3, even if you haven't been doing that job as a technician. Yes? Good? Okay. And our POC is our HRD, Mr. Joey Mariano. He's not here with us today because he's busy. And here are my references. Our references. Your references. Okay. Oh, did you want me to go back? Here, because this slide is going to be on the website, correct, Colonel?
Yes.
Yes, this slide will be on the website. And then here you go. Do you have any questions? Oh.
Question over here.
Wait, I got one here. Wait. Okay. Okay. Fine. Hi.
A couple questions. So for a technician who does go AGR, you said that if they don't sell back their leave, at the end of the time frame, if they choose not to come back to the technician, do they ever get paid out the leave?
Yes, the technician, if the technician applies and is selected and is cleared to enter the AGR program and decides to stay on, if they kept because they're exercising their USERRA rights, they can keep their annual leave in, and then if they choose to become career, and now that technician, we have to separate them, they'll be paid out lump sum. The sick leave will still stay there. Mm-hmm.
And another question, when the colonel was talking about offering up compatible positions, what is compatible? Is it GS rating? Is that rank?
Okay. Yes, staffing will cover that piece. So her question was, is it when they have return rights, what is it based on, like rating or GS, or wage grade, what have you, but staffing will cover that piece, okay? So I'm not pushing you off, man. But I put lipstick on because we're getting recorded, so, oh shoot, so I shouldn't have said that. Aw. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Can you buy back more than 5 years?
Of your military? Absolutely. You can buy back what you had, but keep in mind what I said. If you buy back that and you were going to retire, plans was going to retire as a technician, and then you decided, no, I want to stay career, and you paid all that military service deposit, you cannot get a federal and you cannot get 2 retirements because it comes out of the same pot. Uncle Sam's not going to pay you twice. So then you would have to get a refund. So that's for you guys to kind of decide what you guys are going to do, and this is why we're all here today, to give you this information.
I guess I'm asking for it. If I went past my 5 years and I decided to stay on career for another 3, or 8, or 10, and then decided to go back to the commission.
Oh, no. Your USERRA rights. Oh, that's a great question.
I know you Sarah, but if I stayed to 8 and then went back to technician, can I buy back?
Okay.
Only the 5 for
only during the periods that you have exercised your USERA, which means you were a technician, you applied, you were selected, went into the AGR, was cleared, and then elected to go back to your technician position, that's the only AGR time you can buy back. If you decided not to, when your USERA rights expired, that went out the door. We separated you. If you apply back to a technician position, you can still apply, even if you decided to go the career AGR route, right? You can request an AGR curtailment, apply for a technician job, get selected, correct? But you don't buy back that time that you were gone because you didn't purchase it back before. So that 8 years straight, you lost.
So the answer to your question is only when you're under that 5-year USERA can
Yeah.
you buy it back. Once you decide to stay on AGR, you are now serving under Title 32 orders. That does not count for federal service time. You cannot buy that back.
So Title 10 time is different.
Right.
You buy that back.
Right.
Because I asked this question about 3 or 4 years ago to people's
Mhm.
time or whatever. She gave me a different answer.
Yeah.
She gave me a different answer.
No.
I'll give you an example. So I did 14 years of Title 10. I did 16 years of AGR. Now I'm a technician. So I asked that question. Hey, I want to buy into the technician civil service retirement. The answer I got was, you can buy back your Title 10 time only. So I can buy back 14 years. That 16 years of AGR I did, cannot buy into the civil service technician. And you'd be under the same thing. The only thing you can is that USERA covers time, where you're a technician on military orders.
You listen to the general and you don't listen to me? It's all good, brother. I got you back. I'm not the AGR program manager anymore, so I get it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Any other questions?
As far as the question that I asked in the other meeting, the scenario where if I choose to become AGR or if I get selected, and then I choose to exercise my USERA rights, and then now at that point I run out of USERA time. So as far as like tours and other things that come up for our unit, is that going to be waived or was that ever addressed?
No.
Because
The-
you're saying at that meeting that because I don't have any more USERA time, I won't be able to go on a tour.
Yes. So you will have to make that decision. And that's what your leadership will have to determine on what taskings they're going to assign to you because you no longer have USERA rights.
Okay, but you mentioned that it's possibly waiverable.
I know it may. It depends on how leadership is going to handle that. That's not for me to make that call. Okay, but bottom line, USERA is USERA, 5 years. Done.
You see how I was backing Carol up and then she just dumped on me?
No, no.
I got you back.
Mahalo, sir. I put lipstick on for you. No. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question related to that.
Okay.
So we've talked about offering these initial AGR tours for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody had their full USERA rights, that would be 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so somebody, and with the intent of being AGR, changes their mind during that 5 years, and they want to, as you say, exercise their USERA rights, go back to the technician program. But curtailing an AGR tour is not the individual's right. They have to request
Yes.
a curtailment,
Yes,
correct?
that is correct, sir.
Okay, so could you, yeah.
That is in ANGI 36101. So sir, this conversation needs to occur between that member, his supervisor, and his leadership that his intent is to return. Because it does take a while to get that curtailment, which is in ANGI 36101. It takes a while for that curtailment to go through, only because everybody logs it. And it goes through the process, everybody has to approve it to the chain. And then it gets up, and I have not seen CAG disapprove any. It's a matter of when he can get, he's a very busy gentleman. Okay, but it does get approved. But if they have that conversation a year before they know their USERA rights are going to expire, then they can start that process. and get going. So does that help?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So I
Okay.
have a follow-on question. This is kind of goes to what Noah was talking about. Let's say there's like 5 booms in the 203rd, some of them senior. And so as we do an AGR realignment, we're have no intent to cause harm, so we're not going to replace a boom operator with either a young new hire or an active duty person. But they very well may not be able to get to any type of AGR retirement. So they know going in, it's going to be a one-time, 4 or 5 years, and then I'm either going to USERRA or I'm going to retire. What is the process then for them to come back to the technician program, buy back their X number of years they did as an AGR, and retire? Because when they do that, we're not necessarily going to have a boom operator position for them to come to. They're all AGR.
oh, okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, sir, but is this where this like position, is this gonna be part of the staffing, and then they talk about the Vera and Visa? Yeah, oh,
And that's when we're gonna research how long so that we can do the military.
right,
That
right,
process their
right,
retirement.
okay, so what she said, no, so,
I'm sorry, you know, you're saying
no, yeah, so, sir, in that case, we would still need to find them a like position, but like you said, if all the boom positions are in, AGRs, we're gonna have to find them some like position and give them enough time so that they can do that buyback process. Now, I mentioned earlier that military service deposit process, that's gonna be, it's went down back to the state, so it's back us in HRO, back to us in the employee benefits section, okay? So I'm coming out with some guidance on that, but again, the conversation needs to apply between the employee, that member that's on AGR, the supervisor, and his leadership well before, not one day before, because it's not gonna happen. That if they intend to buy that service time back, it's gonna take, right now, I'll give you guys, I'm just gonna throw a number out there because I've seen it out there for over a year, so I'm gonna give you 1.5 years. So that gives you 1.5 years to have that conversation, okay, with your supervisor and your leadership, because until I can come out with that guidance that recently dropped for us to have to take it back to the state for the military service deposit, I'm not going to tell you right now because I haven't guesstimated it yet. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be done in 6 months. Because if we get turnover and we get changes, it's going to prolong, right? And then this whole realignment process, it's going to continue on for several years. Okay? So I'm just being brutally honest with you right now. That's how long it may take. Does that answer that, sir? I'm sorry, I cannot give,
No, I think
I
it's a
cannot
very
give you a
difficult
definite,
question.
it
It's a
is.
very difficult question, and I really didn't expect an answer, but what would be great if we could have a solid answer for anybody that is in a position that would like to do 4 or 5 years of AGR and then come back and retire as a technician. What's the process for that? That would be great if we could give that to them on a plate, right? Like, we know you're not gonna be a career AGR, but our unit is converting, and you're a valued member. So here, you're gonna be AGR for your last few years, and you're gonna retire. Here's what's required, but we really haven't given them that. It would be great if we could.
Well, hopefully, sir, in this first round, if I'm not mistaken, they just dropped these positions on the UMD. They did not come down to wing leadership or the state and say, hey, which ones would you like or anything. My understanding is these future realignments that are coming down, they're going to allow the wings to work with their functional area managers. So hopefully we're cognizant enough when we're making these decisions that if we know we have those individuals planning to retire, we don't give up all those technician positions. Just saying, sir. Not rolling you under the bus.
I
But
totally agree. I mean, it would
Yeah.
almost be
Here.
worth it to keep a couple technician positions for people that are coming off of AGR and retirement to live in as they go through the process.
Okay, so I'm sure that we're gonna have several individuals in this, questions we can't answer, but we're gonna have, we did discuss this, and so, right now, the process, what Chief Orr is saying, it takes a year and a half, or that's the estimate that we, and you guys have probably can confirm that are processing military deposits. You know, with our backlog, and there's several different actions pending, a military deposit action should not take that long. Really, it shouldn't. And so my earlier statement about if you have any pay actions pending within our office that we can help you, or military deposits that you want to take action on prior to coming on board AGR, it benefits you to get that done prior to being appointed. So when you, if this is an option that you want to implement to come on board AGR, return to technician for the purpose of retiring, then when you're doing a military deposit, that's a single action. It really shouldn't take that long. It's going to be easier on us as an agency to find a position that we can make an exception to find a position that may not be an exact type of compatible technician position to place the technician back into for the purpose of processing a retirement, right? And so if we know that up front, that that's the intent, there's on the AGR session, we can create a memorandum of understanding between the AGR and the AGR branch, if they sign, understanding that when they come off of AGR, this is their intention to retire from the technician program. So we have to work that whole process out. And I'm sure there's going to be several in here that may have that intention. And it may work out, it may be more beneficial for them to do so. The better understanding we have of what numbers we're looking at, the better we can plan ahead on that. These, with us going to 65-35, we're not going to be able to save technician positions and hold positions for any of the technicians that are realigning. But we're just going to have to deal with it as it comes along. We can be creative in the league, within the legal left and right limits.
And that's the best we can do, right? And I appreciate
Yes.
that. It doesn't give you a warm fuzzy when you're betting your entire career on retiring or something else on, well, we'll do the best we can. You know, and I'm not making fun of that at all. It's because, you know, you and I aren't going to be here in 4 or 5 years. And a lot of these folks retire. That's the other piece of it, right? So I could stand up here and compensate and guarantee you that we're going to take care of you, and then I'll be gone in 6 months.
Right, and that's why if you're returning just for the sole purpose of doing a military deposit for retirement, that process shouldn't take long, and that requires us coming up with a process on, again, that single action of doing that one military deposit for your AGR time, and then processing the retirement. In 2-3 years, we're going to have such a great team here at HRO. We're going to be able to process these actions quick, right? Yes, we are. I will not be here, but I'm sure Chief Orr may still be here, and we're going to have a great team.
So I can tell you guys, as we go through this realignment, we are going to hire some people that are older that are not going to get an AGR retirement, that very well may have a lot of technician years, but we're going to go ahead with the plan that you will be able to come back to a technician position and either retire somewhat immediately out of that, or, I mean, it'll be your luck if there's something available and you can continue on as a technician, right? But there has to be a way for us to take care of you as we realign the organization to AGR so that you don't get hosed, right? That's the number one concern is do no harm as we go through this.
Remember, we also have some Title V positions as well, too, within our organization that we could utilize as well, so that we don't have that compatibility issue. Is it?
You just answered my question.
Oh, okay.
This is actually a question
Go ahead.
for the leadership side.
Okay.
As far as, actually concerning the procurement request,
Can stand up, you can't hear.
He's inquiring, he said this is more directed to leadership, and he's inquiring about the curtailment process, but go ahead.
the procurement request, I mean, I understand the general just mentioned it's not a right. What is our leadership's stance on that? Are we going to be given the approval for the procurement request, or is it gonna be a case by case?
I can tell you my opinion on that is, can you imagine what a horrible thing that would be for us to give you a 6-year order, just to take you past your USERA right, and then either not continue you on AGR, right?
Well, I'm talking about going back to technicians, sir.
Yeah, and so, and you're talking about, well, before you get to the end of your USERA, requesting a curtailment.
Correct.
Yes,
Because
I would
wanna
say,
know-
because we need we need some senior technicians to do that we would be entirely agreeable and in favor of doing that. I would ask that you be completely honest with leadership up front as we go through the process into the hiring, right? As opposed to, yes, I can make 20 years, I'm gonna be a 20-year career AGR, all I gotta do is stay for another 15, but then 5 years from now you go, you know what? I really wanna go back to the USERA program. I mean, actually, those are your legal rights. But I would ask that you be as honest with us as you can about your intentions. You know what I mean? Because if we have to make a decision between, well, we can get you to an AGR career, it's gonna be 15 years, but you really have no intention of doing that, you just wanna make more money for the 5 years that you're on USERA and then go back to the technician program. Or we have somebody else who would like to be an AGR. You can see how we would, as leadership, prefer to hire a career AGR if we could.
But
That
the
answer
reason
your
why I bring
question?
it up is a lot of us, including myself, I'm not able to make my 20
Sure.
years. And then it's gonna seriously impact my retirement. So that's why I'm asking. Because if I take the AGR position, I would like, me personally, I would want to exercise my right and go back to my technician position and then continue on and then retire.
Absolutely. And so, and that's all I would ask is, you know what, we'll try to be as open and transparent from a leadership perspective. I would ask the same for you. So that we can do what's best for the organization and best for the individuals as well. Because I'm almost afraid to say that here, but I'll be quite honest, you know, this is, the hiring regulation talks about it's a merit-based system. You hire the most qualified person. If we did that, we would hire the most senior people in all of these different sections, right? Because you guys have been around the longest, you're the most experienced, the most knowledgeable. But quite honestly, from a force management perspective, in realigning the AGR program, that doesn't make all that much sense. Right? You guys are all career technicians. The AGR is a career program. That's the first sentence of the AGR regulation. But you're not going to be career AGRs. You're just going to make more money for the foreseeable future in the AGR program, and then go back to the technician program, or maybe go on with other civil service hiring or something. And the organization needs career AGRs because that is our future, because we are realigning to the AGR program. So it's almost like, so does that make sense? So when we do our hiring, it's not going to be completely just merit-based. It's going to be a force management portion to the decision as well.
Yeah, I mean, that brings up another point. I mean, I don't know why, Chief Ford mentioned that the next round in 2020 is going to be, they're going to work with the functional managers. In this case, why didn't they work with the functional managers to get the people who want to be AGR into the position?
Yeah, great question. I don't know. That's the answer to that. Yeah, that's the answer to
That
that
brings up
question.
that question.
Ask your functional managers why they laid them in where they did.
I'm sorry?
Ask your functional managers why they laid them in where they did.
Okay.
There was no request in the field on asking what positions we'd like to see the AGR put in.
I can't tell you, we got probably way more AGRs and a lot of wings out there because we have so many pacing units. We have so many flying units. And so we got pretty much the number that we asked for, which was 20%, but we had no voice in where they laid them in on the manning document. Okay? And the best thing I heard today was, if it doesn't work out for you, well, first of all, we'll make the point, somebody's going to get a better deal than you as we go through this, right? Just accept that right up front, because I can see a lot of discontent and dissatisfaction because you're not all going to get your, whatever it is, your dream, right? And somebody's going to get a better deal than you, but, you know, just try to have a bigger perspective in that I'm happy to be part of the hang. If it's, you do no better than continuing on in your technician job, you know, that's a great thing. I mean, think about it, we're not having a rift, we're not getting smaller, people aren't losing their jobs. That's a good thing. So don't be discontent because somebody's AGR and you didn't get AGR. I would hate to see that kind of tear our organization apart. Okay? And number two, we're going to go through this every year for the next few years. So if it doesn't happen for you this year, and this is something that you really want, be patient. Okay? Maybe it'll happen next year. And not only that, the people that are going on AGR, they're not going to be around forever. They're going to retire, and that will just open up more as we make the green line.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Two questions over here. That's all you had in the back? You have a question?
I kind of already answered my
Okay, all right, right here.
Sorry, this is a question for folks that, I know it's a 6-year plan, for the JVs, or, I don't even know if it's on the JV, but if guys don't have 6 years to give, then what happens? How much do they still want that? Is it just gonna be cut for whatever they have?
Yes. For the orders, yes. Because it'll depend, before they cut the orders, if they're enlisted, they would have to be re-enlisted, right? Or extended to cover the tour of the AGR orders. But if they are officers and it won't exceed their MSD, then per ANGI 36101, we don't extend them on their MSD for the purpose of getting a 20-year retirement. So they would keep that. I'm not saying that they cannot request, but because I'm not a waiver person.
One more question.
The 5 years continuous for Freddy and FHB, does that have to be the last 5 years or any continuous?
Any continuous 5 years that you had. So that was the question. Okay, this is our POC information. Any other questions? Wait, hold on. Okay, change that.
So for the guys that's not gonna make 20 years AGR, so when you reach 60, you get out of the military. What kind of retirement are you gonna get? Is there like points what you have now, or is that additional years you work PGR? Are those points gonna be added to the points now?
Yes. So that is a FSS question, but I'll answer it anyway. Okay, so you'll get whatever, so you're saying if you cannot attain a 20-year AGR, but you stay until you're age 60, okay, then at 60 you file for retirement, but you'll file for a reserve, but it'll count all that active duty time and take into account all your SAT service that you have. So you'll be paid, yes, absolutely. And at age 60, you would be eligible to apply for what they call the TRICARE Reserve Retiree Benefits for Health Benefits, or TRICARE for Life. There you go. Thank you, Auntie Lorna.
Okay, one last question that you got.
I got a couple questions. So if you have Title 10 leave and you become an AGR, you know how you can kind of save your Title 10 leave, and then when you go on another Title 10 tour, all your leave stays with you and it transfers over to your next order. So if we have Title 10 active duty leave and we become AGRs, will that transfer to our AGR leave?
Okay, that is a CPTF question, but normally the answer is no. And the reason for that is because when you're on Title 10 status, you're under a different authority, and then you come into Title 32. If somehow or another, if you, this is where it comes more into play. You know, if you were to get hurt and you're on Title 10, then they will provide the MedCon days to keep you on active duty. We don't have the AGR days to keep you on, and if you did, like we did with one individual that was on occasional, we had to use our own resource to keep it on. We don't get MedCon days. So after that, if CPTF can validate that, okay, so she'll get back to you on that.
And then for if you have spouses who are both technicians and the spouse who is currently signed up for the FEHB converts to an AGR, if they want to continue using FEHB like HMSA, will we have to wait for like an open enrollment for the other spouse to enroll in FEHB, or can they enroll automatically?
What was that? Say that again.
So my wife and I are both technicians.
Okay, I got that
I
piece.
pay for the medical.
Okay.
I become an AGR.
Yes.
She doesn't.
Yes.
But we want to still have FEHB coverage for HMSA, so we want her to pay for it now. Does she
Okay.
have to wait for an open enrollment, or can she automatically enroll?
No, she would, that's a QLE. That's a quality life event. But you can continue on
Yeah, I got
if you want to.
But I don't have to pay, it'll come out of her.
Sorry, let me take that back. That's great, fantastic. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sorry, last one. So the positions designated as the convert or, whatever you call it, realigning position.
Realignment.
Got it. So April 1st, you're saying that you lose the funding for technician, for that technician money, and now it's AGR money. So you're saying if those positions have to be converted or you're not gonna get paid come April 1st if you're not an AGR yet?
No, so that's a finance question. I could also answer it, unless finance wants to answer it.
So 1 April, we lose funding for those positions that converted. That's already been addressed. As far as if you are converted,
Realignment.
realign.
So I just want to make sure that if I say I want to be an AGR and my position is the one that's designated to be realigned, come April 1st, if something gets messed up with me and I'm not actually on AGR, and I'm not on AGR, I get a paycheck is what I'm talking about.
You will still get a paycheck because there's available funding. Yes, you get paid.
Yeah, I'll take care of it, don't worry about it.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, if there's no further questions, no, I'm just kidding.
Main question. So the timeline was you're rolling out in tiers, correct? So if the JDA gets posted for one of these realigned positions, supposedly December 21st is what we're moving forward, it'll stay open possibly for 20 days. So with the backlog of HRO and the hiring process for current technician positions right now, or whatever have you, AGRs, what timeline are we looking at to get a hiring board or?
Okay.
He's gonna answer that.
Yeah,
Right up there.
I'll let him answer that, but there's no backlog for the AGR, JDAs, okay? You guys have any further questions?
Right now, for the interest of time, we're gonna have this for about 2 hours, so, if we can take a 10-minute break, sir, is that cool with you?
Oh, I wanted to see
We
my
got another
keys.
2 hours worth of briefs left, so I don't want to.
Sir, can I finish? Okay, I'm done. So pending any further questions, after the break, I'll be followed by